Welcome, dear Thriver to Thriver TV, where I'm going to be taking you through part 3 of creating Thriver relationships the quantum way. Now, before I jump into that, I just want to say that my Thrive 10-week super epic healing boot camp is coming up very, very soon on the 12th of September. So we're in our last days for you to be able to get a place. This 3-part episode has been about each week and the steps that you go through to go from broken and abused to free, empowered, and thriving. So today I'm going to talk about the last steps that we go through. Now, if you haven't as yet connected to the first 6 steps, I highly suggest to you go and watch those videos or go onto the blog, because it's important that you get the add-on series to understand how it all works together. Okay, so last week we talked about how to connect to source, which was super important, how to get boundaries in place, and how to break off previous patterns that have been derailing you and sabotaging you, and you find that you've been back in the same place over and over again, no matter how much you've tried to learn or research or go forward. Now in part 3, we're going to talk about the next steps, which are week 7 onwards, which is about rising from the ashes of abuse and moving into your true thriving capacity. So we're going to talk about manifestation in week 7, and it's interesting because 7 is the spiritual number, and manifestation is our connection to source, and this is so important. We have to be able to identify what we really want, because this is you putting a stake in the ground and you're saying to source creation life, this is what I want and this is what I deserve. After abuse, and maybe even before abuse, you've been able to connect to what other people want, but it's been really difficult for you to identify what you want. And maybe you've been really good at serving other people's wishes of what they want, but you haven't even been able to feel or identify inside you what it is that you want. Maybe you can't even connect to it. Now, because we've been laying the groundwork in part 1 and 2, clearing trauma, a lot of the energy of the old self, we can put that stake in the ground and claim it, and put that call out to source creation, God, to start delivering it and to start inspiring us to be the person who can co-generate it. And then we get opportunity, miracles, synchronicity that comes into our life, and we can recognize it and accept it. What you want, this is so important to understand. Your soul doesn't get it wrong. This is the song of your soul. And this is your soul in partnership with source and creation that wants to grant it to you, because these desires are true for you. They already exist for you quantumly, and they are in reality, they are a reality for you. The only reason that these haven't been able to enter your life and you haven't been able to show up knowing you deserve this and having the power and the inspiration to generate it is because of the trauma and false beliefs that have been blocking you up, that have disconnected source, which is your true self. You are a fractal of source. You are a part of source creation, God. But you haven't been able to ignite that and had that power and that energy flowing through you as you. But now that we've done the work in the previous weeks, 1 to 6, you can have that connection healed, activated, and working. Now, I want to take you through a little exercise that's going to help you discover where your source soul connection sits, whether it's aligned, whether it's disconnected. And if you haven't done the 6 previous steps, you might find that the disconnection is there, but I want you to have a lot of faith and a lot of hope, because when you get the right tweaks and the right quantum shifts on the inside, it will connect up and it will flow for you. All right, so to do this little exercise, I want you to think of 3 things that you want, that your soul wants in this lifetime. Now, this is going to be, it has to be unique for you. It's got to be the truth for you, not what fits in with everybody else, what's real and true for you. All right, so there could be examples of something like, number one, more financial freedom and flow. And of course, after narcissistic abuse, where we experience loss, and also too with what's going on in the world at the moment, a lot of people want this. Maybe that's one of the things that you want, more financial freedom and flow. Number two, maybe greater self-love and confidence. This is a pretty important thing to want after abuse. And it's just so important for all of your life to work anyway. And maybe number three, you want truly loving, safe, healthy relationships, including my intimate love life partner. But your wishes, what you want, they could be greater health, they could be getting on my mission and purpose in life successfully. It's got to be unique to you. So what I want you to do, I want you to pause this video, really feel into this, and write the three things that your soul wants. Okay, so after you've done that, let's write about why you want these things in your life. Why do you want them? So, for example, number one, you may write, so that I don't have to battle and struggle with paying bills and survival anymore. Number two may be so that I no longer hand my power away and I trust so easily and I end up making decisions that hurt me. Number three may be so that I don't feel lonely and I've got greater meaning and love in my life now. Okay, these answers have got to be really authentic. What arises when you ask yourself, why do I want these things? So pause this video and connect to that and write your answers. Okay, so now what I want you to do is I want you to feel inside and rate the possibility of what you want to come into your life. Like, how possible does it feel for you? So a 10 out of 10 would feel like, absolutely, this is totally, I feel it, I know it, it just is. And like a 0 or a wannabe, it doesn't feel possible at all. Now, this answer can't come from your head, not what you'd like it to be. You can't fake this. You've got to be real to heal. You've got to know where you are. It'd be like if you're bogged in a ditch in a car and you just try and drive, you're going to spin your wheels and dig yourself further. So we've got to be really honest. How does it feel inside? So, for example, wanting more financial freedom and flow, when you check in on the inside, maybe it feels like a 2 out of 10. Barely possible for you. Okay, greater self-love and confidence. When you feel inside, it may be like a 4 out of 10, and better relationships and a relationship with an intimate love partner, maybe that feels like totally not even possible, like a 1 out of 10. So again, I want you to pause this video, take your time and trust and be really honest with however possible this feels for you. All right, there's a really important reason why we went through these little exercises. It's so that you can get a glimpse in real time of quantum law, which is a law which is as absolute as gravity. Quantum law is so within, so without. I'm creating my outer universe from my inner universe. And my inner universe is my limbic emotional system. It's how I feel about something. So if you felt in your beingness that it was a 10 out of 10, well then the feeling precedes the delivery. And that means that the true source, soul, higher potential is going to come into your life with inspiration and cues and opportunity and potential. If we've got blocks, if we've got trauma that are not allowing you to be a 10 out of 10, this is fear, lack, and emptiness. It's traumas, it's false old programming. And that gives us, instead of a knowing and an embodiment and a manifestation that's pure and true, rather we've got neediness and emptiness coming from wounds. And that's what's made us so susceptible to false sources and false opportunities coming into our life, that we've chosen from our unhealed wounds rather than our higher self wholeness. And of course, these things have delivered more pain. They haven't delivered us what we want. They've delivered us the evidence of the traumas and more of those. So important to understand, you can't get to a 10 out of 10 logically. Think of the famous Einstein quote that you can't heal a solution at the level that it was already created. So, our stinking thinking and our fear and our thinking and our obsession and our rumination and our pain and fear can't be solved with more thinking. It has to be solved from the inner work, because the 10 out of 10 that we need to get to, it has to be embodied. It has to be your beingness. It has to be programmed into your limbic emotional system. It has to feel real, possible, and natural for you to start flowing forward into what you want. And with your week 7 work in my 10-week bootcamp Thrive, you're going to discover all the tools and the ways to make this authentic for you. And I promise you, after doing the inner work on that alignment, the reasons that you wrote about why you wanted these things, of course, they came from a place of emptiness and lack. But they're going to come from a completely different place. They're going to come from a fullness, an inspired place, and a knowing of just isness. You're going to get answers. Why do I want this? They're gonna be like, because this is my blessing. This is my birthright. This is my true expansion. It just is. That's alignment when you feel that. It just is. Now, if those feelings feel like a million years away for you right now, I want to please, validate you. That's normal. That's the human experience. It's not your natural. It's not your source self-true connection, but it's your program limited, wounded normal, and it shouldn't be. But when you know how to heal this, then those feelings of just isness will be your new normal. You'll be connected back to your natural. The reasons why you haven't received what you want, I really want to validate you and be empathetic towards this. And I promise you, it's not because you're defective. It's not because you can't have them, or you're not meant to have them, or you're cursed. It's not, or that you're incapable of manifesting these things. It's simply because you've been disconnected from your higher self, which totally is those things. That's all. Everything you seek is already seeking you. It's already yours. Okay, so that is week 7, and that's what we really work at in Thrive. Now, week 8 is so important, and I've seen this over the years and with myself countless times, that when you break free from your previous lower old self and you burst forth into that higher vibrational, higher source self of prosperity and of manifestation of open-hearted creation, deep fears come racing up. Your shadows come to meet you big time. And this is all about the fear of being your true self. What if I am the light? What if I am a target? What if I reach these heights and then I fall? Who am I going to be without my wounds and limits? Am I going to get too carried away? Who am I going to leave behind who I don't want to leave behind? All of these fears, again, are perfectly normal. They're not your natural, they're your normal. And this is your ego's last stand of, I want to keep you small, in pain, dependent, and I want to keep you disconnected from the source truth of who you really are, grand creator. Because if I can do that, I can keep you down in the darkness, in your shadows, and I can keep feeding off your pain body. Your ego, which is the acronym of edging God out, is your internal narcissist. It's a parasite, like external narcissists who want to feed off your life force, don't want you to be free, don't want you to be with God's source creation flowing through you as you, don't want you to experience your natural state of God-godding, expanding, rather want to keep you in the monkey mind. Because if you expand and break free from that, the ego is out of a job. It doesn't get fed. Pain, fear, lack, obsession, rumination anymore. The small you, the resistant you, when you expand, is going to want to come up and sabotage this expansion. Now, it's not just the internal stuff that it hits you in the week 8 work that we need to really break through. It's also the outer people. So it's going to be victims in your life that want to hold you down at their level of victimization. You know, those people that are always complaining and whinging and making excuses and never take responsibility for their life, and they don't expand and they don't grow. They don't want you to, because then they're going to be lonely. Victims take hostages. Also too, narcissists in your life that are used to mining and exploiting you are not going to want you to break free from that. So you need to do this work, this inner work, to break free. And that's about finding the fears and the blocks and the traumas inside you that have stopped you breaking through the glass ceiling to start receiving your blessings. I know how to do this. I know how to break through that glass ceiling. I've been doing it with myself for a decade and a half, and I've been doing it with my clients and with my course and class members for years. And we directly address this in Thrive to get you through to the true level of how you're meant to be living and creating. So after that step 8, we then go into week 9, which is gorgeous. It's glorious. This is about generating new, safe, evolving, supportive, and inspiring relationships. Now, I'm going to give you the true formula for this, and I just want you to breathe and open your body so that you can hear this and you can take it in. There is only one formula for this, which is having an open heart, being with your heart chakra open and flowing, which means you need great boundary function to look after you, and you have to have the ability to be authentic, open, confident, and honest. And that means that you're going to piss some people off. But I want you to know it's impossible to keep everybody happy anyway. You need to keep your source soul happy, and then you're going to get true happiness. Now, at present, of course, this concept may really terrify you, and understandably, because so many people after abuse and toxic relationships have resigned themselves to having to go without close relationships for the rest of their life because they never want to risk being hurt like this ever again. I promise you, I completely understand that, and I used to feel the same way. Yet I promise you, it doesn't have to be like this. And in 10 weeks, I'm going to show you how and why and move you into what I'm talking about. And the gorgeous thing about this is you'll know how to be open to and create great relationships from a whole, solid, well-equipped place where you never, ever have to risk being abused again. In fact, you're going to be the safest you've ever been in your life. And you'll know in reflection that the way you used to form relationships and fall into them was incredibly risky and disempowered. And that's not blaming you. You didn't have the tools. You didn't have the inner alignment. You didn't have the source GPS, wonderful intuition hooked up and working. You weren't confident enough to speak up and lay boundaries. So, and neither was I. I totally wasn't. And you will know that when you continue life healed up instead of unhealed, that you're never going to have to live with defenses again. You can be totally in a fence as the light, offensive instead of defensive, and it pushes darkness away from you. You're going to be impervious to it, can't infiltrate you, and it can't take you down. You're also going to know that if you were to keep the trauma inside and your defenses up, you're not safe anyway, even if you never go near another person in your life. Because it's like locking yourself in a dark house, pulling down the shutters, and you're alone with these internal shadows eating you alive anyway. The truth is, as a human, you were built for unity consciousness. That's your true source self, true source soul self. It's who you are coded to be. You're built for connection, communion with source, ourselves, and others. Anything less than this is separation consciousness. It's shadows, it's darkness, it's traumatic, it's painful. And this is why I adore the quantum inner work, because it empowers you to know how to identify people, show up confidently as that bright light, flush out manipulators and false people really quickly, and you won't be needy and empty trying to keep them in your life. And because of that, you now have the space for real, soulful, good people to enter your life. And I promise you, good people exist in droves. They really do. Life and humanity is full of them. And I know you mightn't believe that, but I promise you it's true. Not perfect people, because perfection doesn't exist, but people who are empathetic, who do have honest characters, people who are into personal growth. They want to become and keep becoming better people, which is my greatest life mission. And people who want to love from the heart and be authentic. People who want to take a part in unity consciousness. These are the people who you can have productive, successful connections with. A far cry from previous people who never took responsibility for their lives and themselves. And I want you to take heart, because our wonderful Thriver community, the MTA community, is full of these people. And you're going to meet many of them as your fellow life travelers in Thrive. Hundreds of people from all over the world. And we get started really soon on the 12th of September. So anyways, I hope that you've enjoyed this 3-part series, and it's answered a lot of questions for you in regard to the curriculum and the development, the growth, and the healing that you will receive in the Thrive Bootcamp. So many people have written in to support about it. I've done some live events about answering some questions that people have been writing in about. But I hope that this can give you a deep dive into the soul food, the soul healing, and the soul evolution that we get done in these 10 weeks. And this is the last calls for you to participate. They're happening now. We're nearly full. We've nearly got the doors closed, but there is some spaces, limited, that are remaining. So you can see more details and go to sign up at melanietoniaevans.com/thrive, THRIVE. And I'm going to put up the links for you here and in the blog. And also too, please know that if you can't make any session live, you get your workbook, you get all your full recordings, all of your access, and the healings, the powerful group global healings that will shift decades, lifetimes of trauma out of you and give you reprogramming back to your source self. They're all there for you for life, to use and up level as often as you need to. And for any other questions about Thrive, you can email one of my lovely support team at support@melanietoniaevans.com. And please know all of the recorded sessions are just as powerful as the live sessions. So anyway, I look forward to seeing so many of you beautiful people who've already enrolled in Thrive. I can't wait to get going with you again. It's one of my favorite courses and classes that I ever do. And I give it all with full gusto and passion because I want all of us to thrive. So until next time, you know what to do. Keep smiling, keep healing, and keep thriving because there is nothing else to do. Lots of love. Bye-bye.